Hello and welcome to another My Aspie marriage video. I want to talk about a number of things today. Primarily how my husband's anger manifests and the effect that that has on the relationship. I'm not sure if anger is a very typical neurodiverse thing. I have a feeling that it isn't. I have a feeling that anybody, neurotypical or neurodiverse, can be angry depending on their upbringing. So I don't think that my husband is particularly angry because of his aspiness. However, his aspiness definitely plays a part in how things roll. When we meet people, you would have heard the saying before that you fall in love with them for specific traits that you then resent about them later on. And I can unequivocally 100% say absolutely that that is or has been the case for my husband. The first time he came to my house, he saw that I had tools lying around because I was doing up my house myself. And he thought that was really cool. Being a tradie himself and being on the tools, as he says, he thought my doing up my house myself was really impressive. It was one of the things that attracted him to me when he came over and saw that. Jump 2 years later, it is 100% the thing that irks him the most. He cannot stand, and I don't know why, but he cannot stand my independence related to me using tools and things. It is the number one thing that triggers angry outbursts with him. If I think of all of the times that he's lost his temper with me, majority of it had to do with me being independent and wanting to do my own thing. So I talked in a previous video about how we tried to install a bathroom cabinet and that turned to SHIT. It was a schmozzle. It was a fight. We ended up just arguing with each other and I've walked away. My dad bought me a chainsaw, and I will just say at this point in time that I've made up a saying for myself. And that saying is, I grew up with a man, my dad, who believed and taught me that I can. I have married a man who believes and is convinced and is trying to teach me that I can't. So my dad bought me a chainsaw. I don't use that chainsaw because anytime I do, there is my husband. He's like one of those little devils that sits on your shoulder and he'll bark things at me. It's the best way to describe what he's doing. It's anger. Like, he's definitely angry. He's definitely yelling. But it's not a stream of abuse per se. It's these angry little barkings that he does from over my shoulder. That's not how you hold it. Don't do it this way. Careful, you're gonna do. You get there and you're like with the chainsaw. Like, go away, dude. I'm holding a lethal weapon. This is not the time for you to be doing that. Like, danger. And yeah, that's what he does when I use the chainsaw, so I don't use it. I need him to turn it on for me. I cannot turn it on. I don't have the upper body strength to pull the cord hard enough. And so if I want to use it, I would have to go up to him and say, can you start the chainsaw for me? And it's all over Red Rover. He's just going to be following me around while I use the chainsaw. So I don't use my chainsaw. I laugh, but it's really not funny. So that's how it goes with me doing anything remotely to do with tools. I'll go to hammering a nail in a wall and he'll be there. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, dude, it doesn't help that his profession is working with tools, you know. But like I say, it was the one thing that he said attracted him to me. And now that I want to be independent and do my own thing and fix things, he's there telling me how to and what not to do and just barking at me. So getting to the point of this video, the story that I'm going to tell you is one of our most recent, I'll call it an argument, but it really wasn't an argument. I mean, it's one-sided for a starter, so yeah, that's not really an argument. Anyway, it was about a rifle. My dad and my partner, my husband, go target practicing with their rifles. They'll take them to a range and they'll shoot the targets and they'll reel them back in and see, how well they've done, and then adjust their rifles accordingly and blah, 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 It's a fun thing for them to do, and the fact that my husband likes to do this with my dad, that does please me, I must admit. I feel like having a husband who wants to spend time with my dad, to me my dad's, very important, so I think that's really special. Anyway, they go shooting and I don't, because I don't have a gun. And so my dad decides that he'll give me one. And so we go to the gun license place and we're setting it all up, this little gun that Dad's given me. It's a smaller shotgun, not a rifle. And it's so that I can go shooting with them and shoot targets and things, tin cans and bullseyes and such. And so I'm pretty excited. And while this is all happening, my husband's at the counter dealing with the guy, talking about all the gun stuff and blah, blah, blah. Dad's chatting to me about the gun, saying things like, you always hold it up because if it hits the ground, a bullet could ricochet and hit somebody and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we get back home. Well, we part ways. Dad goes his way and we go back to our house. And while we're there, hubby says, do you want to go target practice shooting? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I'm so excited. Can't wait. I'm like a child in a lolly shop. So we go over to the gun safe and he grabs my gun out and hands it to me and then grabs his gun. And they've got socks on them, these long socks that I guess protect it from being scratched. And I don't know how to get it off. So I'm there fidgeting, trying to get this sock off. It's not really working. So I say to hubby, how do you do this? He opens the sock thing, starts, pulling it down, and I go, oh yeah, I see what I do, and I finish it off. Then we take our bare guns to the bench, and they're just sitting on the bench, facing away from us, socks are off. And I say to him, where is the safety on this gun? And is it on or off? And he turns to see me, and I've got my hands resting just on the gun. It's on the bench. It's just resting. And he yells or barks, depending on what you want to call it. Don't put your hands near the trigger, never put your hands near the trigger. And I'm like, okay, calm your farm, like, dude. And in that moment, I'm agitated because I'm instantly like, why are you yelling? If this had been his friends, or if my dad had been there with us, he would have never yelled at me like that. And I know this because he has never yelled at me like this in front of anyone. So I know that he can control it. And he chooses when and who to do it in front of. So I'm instantly agitated. But what can I do? It's kind of like, he's already yelled, right? I can't make him take it back. And so I just get on with it. Nothing I can do, let's just keep going. So then we're walking out towards the shooting range. And he starts yelling at me about how you don't hold the gun up. You have to hold the gun facing down, blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. It's like a machine gun. Anyway, I'm extra agitated now. I've gone from, yay, woo, we're going shooting, I finally have my own gun, oh, so excited, to, this guy, he's doing it again, he's yelling at me, he's doing that thing that he does anytime I have something that is something that he thinks he knows best or better than me. We keep walking. He says some more things. I can't even remember the things. I started to sort of shut them out. And we're walking up the stairs and then we finally get to the range and we put our guns on the shooting bench, facing them to where the targets are. And I say to him, how do I load the gun? And I've worked with guns before, but each gun's different. And so, you know, I'm just asking him questions. And he shows me, you know, you cock the gun this way and the bullet's going that way, blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember what happened, but I do what he says and I'm about to put the bullets in and he's raging again. And I can't even remember what he was saying at this stage. He was just shouting something at me. And by now, seriously, I was wanting to get the butt of the gun and just poke him with it, like stab him in the guts. Like I'd gone from joyous to angry to like, this is so unenjoyable, it isn't funny. And so I pack the gun away. I take the bullets out, I put them back in their thing, I shut the gun, I put the safety on, I grab the bullets, I grab the gun, and I go, I'm not doing this with you. And I walk off. And he's instantly, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, let me start again, sorry, I shouldn't have been yelling at you, you know, and I'm like, it's too late. I mean, the joy has already been killed. The joy honestly was killed the very first time he yelled, because I've said it before, I'll say it again, nobody wants to be yelled at. And if I was talking to him this way, I'm sure he would dislike me just as much. So he comes in later and, you know, we have a few words about it. And he starts telling me that the reason that he was yelling was because I snatched the gun from him. And this is where the aspiness comes in. I'm thinking, were we in the same memory? We're in the same place? We're in some multi-universe where you think something happened and I think something else happened? What? And I said to him, I never snatched the gun from you. I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, remember I was getting it out of the safe and you reached in and just grabbed it off me? And I was like, that's not even nearly what happened. And I say to him, no, you passed me the gun, remember? And I started taking the sock off and asked you how to take the sock off. And he thinks for a moment, like, what I've said sounds logical. And then he just goes, no, that's not what happened. You snatched the gun off me. And that made me angry because you weren't listening. And I'm like, I don't even know how to begin to converse with somebody who has a completely different memory of what happened. And I said to him, what do you mean I wasn't listening to you? What had you said that I hadn't listened to that made you start yelling? And he couldn't remember or explain or anything. He was just insistent that I wasn't listening and that was why he was yelling at me. And I said to him, listening doesn't work that way. Listening is, should I say not listening? Not listening is, you say to somebody, don't kick me, and they kick you. And you say, don't kick me, and they kick you. And then finally you go, don't kick me! That's how not listening goes. With my husband, there isn't a don't kick me. It's just straight into the yelling. And so again, I don't know, like, is this something lots of Aspie people do? Is this something neurotypicals do? I haven't been in a relationship with anybody who does this, so I can't say if it's a neurotypical thing as well. Like, do they just lose their temper all the time as well? I don't know. Is it an Aspie thing? I don't know. Let me know what you think below. And so continuing on, he goes and visits some friends, his firefighting buddies, and he comes home and he's telling me how he told them the story, and they have said to him, if she wasn't listening to you, why didn't you just take the gun away and say, look, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm not doing this with you? And I say, yeah, why didn't you do that? Full sarcasm. And he's looking at me because he knows, okay, she's being sarcastic. She has an agenda. There's something going on here. And so I say to him, the reason you didn't do that is because I was never not listening. It had never been a situation where you had said, please don't do it X, Y, Z, and I'd done it anyway. So what you've told your friends about me not listening, and that was why you got angry, isn't the truth. Anyway, we get into a debate about it, as you do, because, you know, I'm sure when you're in a relationship, this happens to you as well. Because you've talked about a situation, all of the stuff bubbles to the surface and you're on it again, right? So he's there again trying to convince me that I snatched the gun off him and blah, 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 blah. And I'm there saying that's not what happened. And then we're debating about it again. Then we leave it because nobody's winning this argument. And then we go to our counsellor and he tells the story, interestingly enough. He raised it. And he starts talking about how it was all about safety. I was yelling at her because she wasn't doing things that were making the situation dangerous. And I'm thinking, okay, now the story has changed. And I said, and I was super frustrated by this stage. I mean, how I kept my composure, I don't know. But I said, I know that that is not the truth for 2 reasons. 1, the gun was never loaded. The entire time we were doing this, the gun was never loaded. There was nothing unsafe yet. And 2, if it had been about safety, logic says you would never be yelling because that is completely unsafe. Can you imagine handing somebody a gun and then yelling at them and then saying you're doing it because it's an unsafe situation? Surely that stress and that angst and that sort of rage that you cause in the person that you're yelling at would be like the least safe thing to do with a person, with a gun and the chainsaw. And so there's no convincing him, even though this has all been said, there's no convincing him. He's not backing down and admitting he just shouldn't have yelled. When it happened and he started apologising profusely, he knew he was in the wrong, without a doubt. That was why he was apologising. But ever since then, he refuses to admit that he was out of line. And that's the point of this video, is that that is how our relationship rolls. He has this complete inability to understand that you should not be yelling at your wife that way. It is just 100% unacceptable. And I have tried all manner of different things. Counsellors have tried to give us pointers, you know, ideas. So they'll say things like, have a trigger word, where as soon as he starts yelling, you say that trigger word and he stops. Yeah, no. But there's no trigger word. I've walked away, I've held my hand up and gone, I'm not doing this with you. I have done everything and anything that I can think of, short of either slapping him or punching him. They're the 2 things I haven't done yet. And I tell you what, I'd get very close to it. I do. I just want to some days when he starts yelling, just go smash across the face, good wacko right there, just to see, would that make him stop? Or just flick him in the nads or something, like stop, please, stop yelling. And we've broken up over this. We broke up after that. Yeah, so the story continues. We get home from the counsellor and I say to him, why were you talking about safety with her? It's never about safety. Why are you lying to the counsellor? Anyway, we get into a debate about it, as you do, and he starts telling me that it's normal for partners to speak to their partners like this. And the reason he wouldn't speak to his friends like that is because they would be listening to what he said. And again, he hadn't given me something like a direction that I hadn't listened to. But he's insisting that he wouldn't have yelled at his friends because they wouldn't have not been listening to him. So in the end, I say to him, look, this might be your normal, like somewhere in your upbringing, you've learned that yelling at your partner is the thing you do in a relationship. but it isn't mine. And if you cannot stop, I mean, point of frankly, here you are saying that you are not even going to stop because you think it's normal. I said to him, I need you to leave. I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who does this. And we're seeing the counsellor because his anger and rage is my number one concern. It has been the thing that I have wanted throughout our relationship, for somebody to acknowledge and say to him, that is not okay. And nobody has, nobody does. When he tells his friends the things that make him rage, he waters it down and lies and pretends it's not what happened. So they never say to him, dude, what the hell? They think that he's got some annoying wife who's always antagonizing him and never listening. His family doesn't say anything, and they can't because they rage as well. That would be hypocritical. And my family can't step in because it doesn't work. They have tried. He doesn't get there and hear it from anyone and go, oh yeah, I hear what you're saying. So we've gone to counsellors because I need somebody professional who will listen to say, dude, you cannot yell at your wife. What are you thinking? What are you doing? You're going to kill the relationship. So yeah, for me, it is the number one annoyance in the relationship. His inability to stop himself from raging. Whatever it is that happens, there's reactions. Heart palpitations, feeling really tense. There'd be physical symptoms happening to him prior to him yelling. And he doesn't notice that they're there because he's got a bit of that blindness going on. And he just flips out. Bam, he's exploded, done. And then when it's finished, I'm always the fault of it. I raged because of you. That's what he always says. Even recently, we had a situation where, and it's so stupid I think about these things. Not stupid that I think about them. They're just stupid. He has a fan that he brought 6-8 months ago, a year ago, and it has never worked. And he doesn't care. He just brought it. Now it sits there, taking up space. And I've been looking at this thing thinking, what's the matter with it? And why isn't he trying to figure it out? That's interesting to me. Anyway, I set myself a challenge. I'm going to figure this out. So I get the fan and I start tinkering. And as soon as I grab the fan, he is yelling at me to not touch his stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, you mean the fan that you've never touched since you bought it that doesn't work? That thing? All of a sudden now it's yours and I can't touch it? Okay. And I say to him, look, I just want to see something. No, he's raging. In the end, like a stupid little child, I take the fan and run. Because I'm like, just let me look at it. You haven't touched it in months, and as soon as I pick it up, you have a problem? Dude. Anyway, so I take the fan and I run. And all I did was take the back off and have a look inside, see all the components are all attached, everything's good. And I put it all back and I put the fan back and I go, okay, the wiring's good. And he's annoyed, obviously, because I took the fan. And then I start trying some other things to fix it, because if the wiring's good, what else could it be? He keeps raging. And I'm just like, I don't know how to get him to stop. Anyway, I figured it out. It's this one part at the bottom that wasn't attached right. And I figured it out. I was just determined. And he's not thankful. He's not, yay babe, high five. He's just still annoyed because I wasn't listening to him when he said don't touch the fan. And in that case, okay, he did give me a direction which I flatly refused to listen to. But obviously I have my reasons because it's this thing that he brought that he's never touched and he's never been curious about why it didn't work. But from his perspective, I'm the fault of that. He raged because of me. It's not that he raged because of himself, because he could have easily have been polite about that. He could have easily have said, what are you doing with the fan? Why do you want to look at it? What are you going to do with it? All right then, okay, I see what idea you've got there. But no, he's instantly raging. And I must admit, as soon as he raged, I was instantly rebellious and defiant. Because I was like, no, I don't want to just stop what I'm doing because you yelled, because then that teaches you that yelling works. And so that's what's going on for us. This crazy relationship with this man who rages all the time. And part of it is his aspiness in that he can't regulate his emotions. He can't recognize when he's feeling triggered and calm himself down. He's not particularly good at articulating what it is that is concerning him. And so he just rages. The first thing that comes out of his mouth is, don't do that! And so I can sort of see that his aspiness is playing a part, but this rage of his is just beyond. And it started off as really simple. The very first time he yelled at me was that time I was playing music in my bedroom and he was watching TV. We're about 5 months into the relationship. And he comes in and goes, turn that shit off! And I remember being stunned. How was he that angry in a matter of seconds? Like, he went from I'm fine to rageful. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. I just thought that I'd annoyed him. And then he was not so bad. Like the odd sort of negative comment here or there, but not super ragey. The super rage didn't come until the children were born, and then it was all on. World War III. And so it's been a really hard situation to be in. I don't know what to do to make him stop, short of slapping him. I have tried, as I said, so many different things, like even squirting him in the face with water, walking away, locking the door, using the trigger words, saying, don't talk to me like that, you stop, you need to calm down. But nothing I'm doing is working. The counsellors aren't helping. The one that we're seeing now is the only one who has said to him, you know, that's not normal, right? And I just about got up and hugged her. I was like, oh, thank you. I have wanted somebody to say that forever. So I don't know what else to do about it. I don't know how to get him to stop. I don't know how to have a situation where he just comprehends that this yelling that he does is to do with him and not me. I mean, from his perspective, he thinks that because I'm the only one he's raging at, obviously it's me making him rage. But the fact that he cannot yell at me if others were around shows me that it really isn't me. There's just something else going on with him. I personally think it's a control thing, a fear thing. There is something about me being fiercely independent that really pisses him off. That's just the only way to put that. It really, 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 really annoys him that I want to be independent and do things and try things for myself. And he cannot stand that concept because things could go wrong. And so look, I do get the fear side of it. I just don't get the rage side of it. And for me, it is obviously killing off my affection for him. I find that each time he rages, I like him that little bit less. And that's why now when he rages, I'm like, I kind of want the relationship to end, because I just think, do I really want to be yelled at for the rest of my life? I don't even like the fact that I've been yelled at for, say, the last 15 years or so, which is kind of when it really started. And he is getting better with the new counsellor that we're seeing. He's starting to catch himself, but he's still doing it. So, I don't know what to do about that. Anyway, that's today's topic. I don't know when I'm going to upload this video because my computer's died and my editing program is on my computer, so I may be late. with posting. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and if you have any suggestions, help, advice, maybe know why he's raging and how I can get him to stop, maybe you think the flick to the nads is a good idea. Anyway, thanks for watching, I really appreciate it.